Hi, and welcome to my abundance7.com YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about astral travel out-of-body experience. Astral travel and out-of-body experience. There are plenty of dimensions, and many of the different dimensions are non-physical. And by this we use the umbrella term the astral realm. Sometimes you can travel out of the body in a copy of this physical world. This is called etheric travel. Everything you experience is just a replicate of your environment, but you can float around as consciousness. Other times you can travel to worlds that are completely different than ours, often referred to as astral travel. When you reach a different dimension, it is possible to lay down there in that dimension and get out of the body from there and reach a dimension number 2, if you like. With this method, you can keep going deeper and deeper into other worlds. We live in a multidimensional world, or reality, or universe, and we have a multidimensional body or self. As we can see, our physical body is used in the physical world, but what people do not always realize is that they have another body that can be used in another world. The concepts of another body and another world may seem strange to some people, but it is what it is, and through experience a person can actually find this out for himself. The reality we live in is aware of itself. It is consciousness and have organized itself in many different ways, often in fractals. One of the ways reality is organized is that it has divided or split itself into many fragments and units of awareness and consciousnesses. One example of a unit is a human being. We are a piece of consciousness, part of the whole. So for the aware units to experience itself, it needs to interact with other units to get feedback and to exercise free will and get reactions. Another organization part of reality is that each world or universe or dimension have a rule set that is unique for that specific dimension. What science has discovered thus far is what we call the physical laws. These are laws that describe the rule set of our dimensions. Other dimensions have other rule sets or other laws. And one thing every dimension has in common, though, is that they are all made of awareness and consciousness. They are all conscious and alive, even if a dimension appears physical. So the physical world we live in, for example, is still an illusion, but a very persistent one, like Albert Einstein used to say. It does also exist universal laws, or more precisely, multiversal laws, that is relevant in each dimension. An example of such a law is the law of attraction. This law is about what your awareness focuses on. It will see and create things, because where your attention goes, your energy flows. Since every human being or every unit is a part of the whole, it is possible to understand the multiverse by understanding your own awareness. Therefore, meditation is popular in the East. It is possible to alter the world if you alter your mind. It is possible to extract information from reality itself, for example with using science and synchronicities for your progress in your personal life. You can learn more about both science and symbols by listening to my other YouTube video that is called How to Communicate with Your Spirit Guides. Now, it is possible to become one with the whole for a short moment as an experience, and that experience is called cosmic consciousness, and you are experiencing a so-called bliss state. It is also possible for a person to feel this truth by having a long-term feeling of connectedness with reality. This is referred to as enlightenment. Now, The dimension you are most in is the dominant dimension that is for the purpose for you to live your life in. And it's very obvious for the unit, in this case a human being, what dimension is the primary one for him or her. This is the physical dimension we live in. That is our dominant dimension. The purpose of life then is to grow up. And by the way, it is not necessary to travel to other dimensions to mature, but you can if you want to. The overall purpose of every dimension is to grow. Different beings in different dimensions experience life in their ways. All that feedback is collected from the whole by its fragments, the entities living their lives. And it comes together. It comes back together, sending that information back to the wholeness again. So, spirituality and growth are the same. And there are many ways to grow. You can pass a test, you can gain more wisdom, you can spread love, or you can develop new skills and abilities. So if astral travel or out-of-body experience is making you grow, then it is more likely that it will happen. And this is true for every paranormal ability. If it is used in a situation where it will lead to growth, it is more likely to happen. In other non-physical worlds, the rule set is different, with often looser rules, or more freedom, if you will. And as mentioned, one of these rules says that what you think about, you will attract. This means that what you think most about can manifest in your astral travels. So if you have a lot of different thoughts, your experiences in the astral can get pretty messy. So the organization part of reality makes sure that people who work on themselves, with reducing fear, reducing anxieties, reducing worries, may enter the astral realm. It will be more smooth for those people who work on themselves. And by the way, we have a lot of videos about self-work. Meditation is one of many tools to help reduce this noise from our minds. When you, with practice, master your mind, you can enjoy the astral realms more. You can with time simply shift your perception, since each dimension is just a shift of perspective. So when you shift your perception of the physical and focus on consciousness itself and reach the non-local state, you can travel and experience non-physical dimensions. Point consciousness, as some people also call this state of awareness. Other description for this is to reach the delta brainwave threshold to forget the body. You may start to think, what body? Or reach the body asleep while your mind is awake. In the point consciousness states, you can do whatever you want. You can remote heal, manifest, get information by communicating with the whole or other entities, and you can go out of the body. What you believe can happen by using your attention on what you want. And it is worth mentioning that techniques for getting out of the body just mind tools or metaphors for what you are intending. It's simply just a tool. So when you use a tool, try to use that tool for at least 3 months. And if it doesn't work, try another one. So if you do it in this way, you can honestly say that you did try something out and also get progress elsewhere if it did not work. And by the way, if you want to learn more about metaphors and tools, listen to my other video that is called Metaphor and Tools and Symbols. Okay, so when you're out of the body, when you are in the astral realm, you are experiencing the bigger reality. And as I said earlier, the dimension's realness, quote unquote, is determined by your perception. Perception is reality. When you are in astral, it seems real. When you are awake, this reality seems real. And it is both real. It is just different perspective of consciousness. The universe is consciousness, aware and alive. If you meet someone in another dimension, for example, a friend having an out-of-body experience. You can experience this situation with the same friend, with the friend as your friend, meaning that both of you will experience the exact same thing in astral. However, the conceptual theme is the same both for you. And the physical world is more objective than many of the astral worlds, just so you know. So the focus on subjective experiences is stronger in astral. I can give you an example of this. One time I met a friend in astral, okay? I described to her how I helped her over a fence. You know, I experienced me pushing her over the fence, or while she experiencing the opposite, that I was like bending the fence down for her to get over it. So you see, there was these small details that was experienced different from both of our perspective in astral, but the conceptual truth was the same or common for both of us, mainly that I somehow helped her getting over a fence. Okay. Time doesn't exist in the astral realm, meaning that if you give a mental message to a friend, he will receive it, but maybe not at the same physical time that you deliver it. Also, he may not receive it consciously, but some other part of him, the multidimensional part of him, the astral body or soul, may have picked up the message. So if you meet someone in astral and they are, for example, physical at school, having an exam, while you are out of body sleeping in the morning, does not mean that you did not meet him. You met him, but as mentioned, you met another part of him. You simply communicated with him like he is his true self. When you are in the astral realm, you can travel and do stuff just by using your intent. It is, by the way, possible to use your intent to be placed in a random scene. Google have this button called Get Lucky button, and it will bring you to a random web page. And you can intend the same concept as Get Lucky, and the astral realm will just place you somewhere randomly. Once you have a reference point for a dimension, you can just think about this place, how it looked and felt, and you will return to the same dimension. Also, if a friend of you describe a dimension that they have been in, you can intend to go to that dimension just by listening to his description of that dimension. The same with beings and entities you have connected with. You can just think about them and you will get back in contact again. Now, there are all kinds of dimensions, beautiful ones, where you can learn and grow and experience great things and see much beauty, but it also exists dark dimensions that have feelings of fear and negative emotions. Another good reason to work on yourself and remove anxiety and fear. Well, some people who don't work on themselves, understand why they have maybe a messy life or maybe have messy dreams, because they are in the astral realm and they have not reduced their entropy. They have not reduced their chaos from the mind. And by the way, sometimes your dreams get connected with the astral. And if you want to explore the bigger reality, the astral realm will often test you. You may hear voices or feel a presence. And this is described in physical terms as sleep paralysis. When you reach the point where you don't care, when you don't have any fears, you are ready. Astral is just testing you. It's no big deal. There are sometimes tests in the actual astral travels too. Like in life, we need tests so we can understand at what level we are. When you, for example, take an exam, you need a test to see what you know. An example, I will give you an example of an astral test. It can be that you are a chef at a restaurant and you get hundreds of orders, right? And the answer to this test is to use your mind to manifest the food that everybody wants. One of the most common tests is you being in a moral situation, by the way, just to see what you will do. If you pass the so-called moral test, you will get access to places that can offer you more knowledge and power. You get tests in this physical reality as well. And if you want to learn more about tests, listen to my YouTube video that is called Test, and how the universal mind can test you. The thing about a test, though, is that they have to seem really real to you. If not, you wouldn't care. And some paranormal experiences are tests, and also some of the abductions cases that you have heard about can be explained as fear tests. Like, how would you react to something that appears real but is actually not real? Would you, for example, let advanced being experiment on you? Or do you have the integrity to say no? Then this is one example of an authority test. Other examples of fears are, the hauntings that you hear about. They are sometimes entities that are equal to teen bullies in our world. They are not grown up and not immature. Some of the tests, as I mentioned, is about your integrity. For example, you're being introduced to a deal from an entity that smells fishy, but it will give you some shortcut advantages in return. And even if this is wrong, you're taking part in something that you don't like because of the tempting deal. After a while, you get more and more involved in something where you lose more and more control. Now, this one is an example of an integrity test. Sell your soul to the devil type of scenario. When you say no at the being level, you will pass the test and be left alone. It has to be from the being level though, because you can't use your intellect here. Another way to get out of the problem, if someone is messing with you, some entities is messing with you, is to use your power of your mind to resist it and release it. And by the way, there is some traffic between the dimensions. For example, if you see an entity in your house, like an angel for example, it has traveled to our dimensions from another one. And there are many beings that also is not aware of the possibility to travel between dimensions. This goes for many humans. They have no idea. So sometimes other beings will freak out if you travel to their world. And here it is possible to choose to travel in so-called cloak mode, or to travel with your astral body. It's your choosing. And in some cases you can choose to look like the beings you are visiting. This is called shapeshifting. Other beings can do the same. Visit our dimension and choose what form they want to take, like a human body. Here you could meet a man in the street, for example. You could talk to him thinking that this was a polite person, and after turning around some seconds later he's gone. And this person then doesn't exist in, the country's birth list. He just appeared physical to you from another dimension. And this can also happen with entities taking a so-called alien body. Appearing physical or half physical to you. And some entities can even shift between the two states, so an entity can walk through a wall and shift back to being full physical on the other side of the wall. Also, since time doesn't exist in the astral realm, it is possible for you to astral travel to another time, for example to ancient Egypt, and see the buildings of the pyramids. You can even visit the past and appear physical to them and talk to inhabitants of that time zone. And this can also happen to us, that we can get visits from the future and talk to them when they are appearing non-physical, half physical, or full physical. It is also possible for an entity to move physical objects here in our dimension. This is easier to do when you have an out-of-body experience, but you But if you have an out-of-body experience, you can say stuff to a friend of you who is walking around in the physical world doing his normal things, and he may be able to hear you because you are there on your travel, but he will not be able to see you. And other entities can do this as well. Talk to you, and you will hear and notice them, but not see them. You can also do this to beings in other dimensions without them noticing you. In some cases, you can also teleport objects and things from one place to another place. But you can't take non-physical objects into the physical world permanent. What you can do though is to manifest a phenomenon in our reality for a short time. For example, creating an energy ball. Here you may see something from another dimension spinning around in the middle of your living room, for example, and you can put your hand through it, but will not feel anything physically. But you may see something, hear something, or get an emotion or think something by being in its presence. There exist other physical dimensions as well, but if it is possible to teleport stuff and objects from those physical dimensions out to our physical dimensions, I don't know. And it's, by the way, possible to send entities to other people by using your intent. Like sending an angel to talk to your friends, and they will experience this because of your willpower and focus. But if someone is traveling to this dimension and you don't want to visit, you can use your intent to push them away. Not entering this dimension. You can seal this dimension from them visiting. And in some cases, if an intended entity is attacking you, you can summon another entity to defend you. But as long as you don't mess with other beings, business and agenda, they will leave you alone. If you mess with things in a dimension, messing with people and making trouble, that reality may ban you from it. And this works in the same way a moderator can ban you from a forum or merc, for example. You can also use your intent to report to the so-called metaphorical dimensional police to ban a being. Just remember that the thought you have will attract other thoughts of the same frequencies. Again, we can refer to the law of attraction or karma, etc. In the long term, you're better off choosing love over hate. Love will give you more freedom, mana, and power. The light side has more dimensions and more powerful beings than the dark side. The order is stronger than chaos. The consciousness system is built for growth, harmony, and to become love. So if you focus on love, helping, healing, growth, learning, and experiencing, you are better off. Take this path, often called the right-hand path, and it can give you more spiritual experiences. If you want to know even more about spiritual experiences, listen to my video that is called The Reason Behind Spiritual Experiences at YouTube here. Also, when you have less ego and fear, you get more mana, more power, and it's easier for your mind and body to get into balance this way. You get a higher degree of force to accomplish things, like healing, getting stronger intent, get access to more dimensions, you can access the Akashic record, etc., etc. And there are plenty of classrooms and courses to join in the Astral. There are all kinds of different schools and temples. You can learn everything about, relationships, self-help, sex, the spiritual nature of reality, nature, evolution, the Big Bang, spiritual abilities, etc. You can even do work in the Astral. Work at day and work at night. Be a teacher yourself for one of these classrooms that I mentioned. Or you can heal other people visiting Astral, or even hypnotize people in Astral for better confidence. Everything you can imagine you can do in Astral. Acupuncture, energy drills, meditating, etc. And the movie Astral Society illustrates this very well. Now, a friend of mine visited a monk in Astral Travel, and the monk had set out intentions for the seekers of the world to pop up in his astral temple for wisdom when they were at a certain level. And this friend of mine was so much in Astral that he needed a break. So the monk asked him if he was okay to seal him, and my friend said yes. Now his astral body can't get out that easy anymore, and it's actually somewhat hard for him to get out of the body now. Finally, the masters at the very highest level can, for example, they can drive a car and they can have a conversation with a friend in the car. They can be able to focus on the road and be out of body, fully aware, and do work there, being present in two bodies in two worlds at once. And if you are at this level, it would actually be possible for you to chat with someone, for example, at a forum. Okay? Then appear half physical to them in their living room while you're having an out of body, and you can stand over them, watching them chatting with you. Now, share this YouTube link with your friends to raise the global consciousness about astral travel. And it is possible for you to meet your friends in astral travel when you both know how to do it. Good luck with your journey.